Thank you all for your patience and flexibility on the time. We just wanted to make sure we had the latest information and we were getting some last details during this time. This update will include Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer, Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs, Police Chief John Mina, Sheriff Jerry Demings, Ron Hopper with the FBI, Dr. Michael Cheatham with the trauma surgeon at ORMC, and Aman Musri, President of the Islamic Society of Central Florida and the National President of the American Islam. Mayor Dyer.
Today we're dealing with something that we never imagined and is unimaginable. Since the last update, we have gotten better access to the building. We have cleared the building, and it is with great sadness that I share we have not 20 but 50 casualties. In addition to the shooter, there are another 53 that are hospitalized. Because of the scale of the crime, I've asked the governor to declare a state of emergency. We're also issuing a state of emergency for the city of Orlando so that we can bring additional resources to bear to deal with the aftermath. Our focus is going to be on identifying the victims and notifying the families. We're setting up a hotline for concerned family members. There's 407-246-4357. The identification process may take some time, so we ask for your patience because we want to be accurate. Concerned family members can call the hotline, however, and let them know that you have someone that you are concerned about. I continue to be so proud of our community, the support that is shown, the response that has been made. I'm also thankful to entities from all around the country and all over the state of Florida. The governor has made all the resources of the state of Florida available. Orange County has made all of their resources available. We have assistance from the White House, so every possible asset we have brought to bear. Mayor Jacobs.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer. Of course, let me start with expressing my sympathy for the families, for the loved ones of those who we have lost in the last 24 hours. We know that this affects a large segment of our community. We know that we have a very close-knit LGBT community who has been dramatically impacted by this. So to everyone who is impacted, I want you to know that our thoughts and prayers are with you, and that we are a united community, and that what we saw last night does not reflect what we feel in our hearts and our souls here in Orange County. And I am calling on every citizen here in Orange County to never forget that we stand together in times of adversity, but we don't just stand together as the city of Orlando and Orange County. We stand together as a country. We have heard from Texas, we have heard from states all across the country wanting to know what they can do to help. So when evil like this comes to our community, we respond in force. I guarantee you we will do that again, and thank you all for everything that you do to make this such a wonderful place to be. We know it's going to take time to be able to answer the questions of the loved one, and there's nothing more difficult than waiting to find out the status of the people that you love. Please be patient. We're doing our best. Thank you.
As Mayor Dyer said, at this point, the nightclub Pulse has been cleared and deemed safe of any devices. We're in the process of clearing the suspect's vehicle, which is a van right outside. And we ask that people be patient. Unfortunately, there are many victims inside the club, but like was said, you know, our priority will be on the identification of the victims and notification of the next of kin. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all the outpouring of law enforcement support from as far away as Boston and Chicago that let us use their resources if needed. And of course, great community support from the Central Florida law enforcement community as well. I also want to commend the heroic and courageous actions of the initial responding officers who exchanged gunfire with the suspect, and also the heroic and courageous actions of our SWAT team who rescued at least 30 victims, possible victims, and brought them to safety. So again, at this point, just patience, because unfortunately this tragedy and the amount of bodies that are in there, amount of victims, it's going to take some time. Thank you. We'll answer questions at the end.
I'm Sheriff Jerry Demings, and I join our entire community in offering our sympathy to these families who have lost loved ones. This has certainly been a tragic day for all of us, and in that this is a day of worship. In most places in America, we do call upon the members of the clergy to pray for those families and for this community and this nation for healing. In the last several hours, the men and women here in law enforcement have been working diligently to ensure the overall safety of everyone involved. You all have seen most recently where there were members of our hazardous device team, our bomb units, have been working from the Orange County Sheriff's Office with units from the Orlando Fire Department to make certain that we did not have any secondary type devices or what have you that were in the crisis site itself. That process has taken an extended period of time to ensure the safety of everyone, and so that's why we have not been able to remove all of the victims, if you will, from the crisis site at this point. That process is continuing. We likely have another hour or two of operational necessity to ensure the safety before we can begin that process. But we do appreciate the collaborative effort amongst all of the different local governments, as well as our state and our federal government. We've all come together in unity to address this issue, and on behalf of our entire community, we thank you, the media, for covering these events and this tragedy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, can you please confirm 50 dead?
We'll take questions after we're finished with the prepared statements.
Hello, the FBI has confirmed the subject involved in this shooting incident. At this time, we were making the notifications to the next of kin, so we will have that name to be officially released to you at the next press conference. What I want to put out right now is that, as we all know, in many situations, people come and go to nightclubs such as these. So what I'm asking is, if anyone out there attended this nightclub and then left before the shooting happened, I would urge you to still call in and come and talk to our investigators, because you don't know exactly what you may or may not have seen. So we would appreciate everyone coming forward, no matter how small the evidence in your mind may be. The other thing is, we are actually setting up a family assistance center at the Hampton Inn, located at 43 Columbia Street. We currently have it now at ORMC, but we're going to go ahead and move it down to the hotel in order to accommodate more family members, and attempt to reunite people with either their loved ones or gather information on people who have not yet been located.
Can you just confirm that number again? 50? Did you say 50 deaths?
Yes.
50 deaths.
In addition to 53 in the hospital.
You mentioned earlier
I thought we had one more. We have a couple more people who are going to speak, and then we'll answer some questions.
Good morning. As many of you are aware, a little after 2 o'clock this morning, we were notified of many victims, gunshot victims. As Central Florida's only level 1 trauma center, we immediately activated our mass casualty incident plan. We immediately brought in 6 trauma surgeons to respond, including 1 pediatric trauma surgeon. We have spent the morning operating on a number of victims. We continue to operate on them. We have found many of them are critically ill as a result of their injuries. And we are in the process of trying to reunite families as we identify the names of these victims. As has been mentioned, this will take some time, and we ask for your patience. But we will reunite the families and the victims just as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Do you need blood donors?
Blood is a wonderful gift. That can all be arranged through the local blood banks. Please don't come to the local hospitals, but you can work through the local blood banks to be able to donate, and that would be a tremendous help. Thank you.
First name, Doctor?
Michael Cheatham.
Good morning. My name is Muhammad Musri. I'm the President and Senior Imam of the Islamic Society of Central Florida and National President of American Islam. I'm here today to stand as a faith leader with our law enforcement community and our city leadership in this hour of horror that was brought upon our city. I've worked with these leaders for over 20 years. I know their caliber, their strength, and their determination to make sure the city is safe. And I call on everybody in the community, anybody who has any information, to please call the FBI, share what you know. It may help answer many unanswered questions yet. I also call on my fellow faith leaders, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Hindu, whatever faith you follow. Please pray for the victims and their families in this hour, on this Sunday morning. It's supposed to be a beautiful morning, but it is already a very heartbreaking morning. And I want to praise the courageous effort of our OPD, who risked their lives, put their life on the line. One of the officers, as we heard, was injured. And that's a risk they take every day to protect us. No one could have predicted this. No one could have prepared for it. This could have happened anywhere. It's like a lightning. So they have done a marvelous job to save as many lives after the shooter began shooting, and we are glad that the situation is completely under control. There are no other shooters, that this person is not known to be connected with a network or other people. So the city residents and the visitors should feel safe. The city is as safe as the best city in the world. And I want to also caution many in the media from rushing to judgment and from, sensationalizing the story, because we do not want this story to be shifted from the focus what it is. It's a horrible tragedy. We are mourning, we are sad, we are heartbroken, and it's not really time for any sensational news just and rushing to judgment. So we should all wait till information, facts come out from the investigators, and we will all see what happened, understand it, and stay together, to work together to keep our community strong. I want to thank Mayor Dyer, Mayor Jacobs, our city leaders, Chief Mina, and Sheriff Demings for their leadership, Ron from the FBI. I think many times in the past this has been discussed as the worst nightmare, and we are sorry to know that it happened to us. We don't wish this on anybody else, and we hope this would be the last of the mass shootings that our country has been going through. I think as a nation we need to look at this issue of mass shootings, because we just had one too many today, and I think we should do something about it to stop the mass shootings that are happening all the time. Thank you.
Question for Ron.
Sir.
You were able to very early on say that the shooter appears to have leanings toward a radical Islamic terror connection. How is it that you guys were so quickly so sure of that track as opposed to this being a hate crime that had happened in the gay nightclub?
Early on, when we had a possible identification made, we run everything to ground, whether it winds up being the actual individual or not. And so, as I mentioned earlier, at this time I can't say exactly who the suspect or the deceased shooter is. Once we're able to do that, once the notification is made, then more details will be able to be shared, most likely from our counterterrorism division up at FBI headquarters.
Can you tell us what type of arsenal was found? How many rounds do you think were fired off?
Right now, the weapons recovered from the suspect who is dead was a handgun and a AR-15 type assault rifle. An unknown number of rounds, but there were additional rounds.
Did the suspect make any sort of call prior to the shooting, maybe to 911 or to another location, kind of indicating anything?
We have no indication of that as of yet.
Was there any communication with the suspect in those 3 hours before you went in? Between the arrival, the shots first fired, and you finally going in to rescue the hostages?
There was some communication, but we're not going to release that right now.
Why did the SWAT team wait 3 hours?
Well, remember, this is a situation involving hostages, a situation involving things that happen very fast, and I think it was important for them to know exactly what they had. Once the initial shots were stopped, they were dealing with a hostage situation. So in that time, we need to set up, reevaluate, reassess what's happening, and make sure that all the pieces are in place. We have the enough staffing to take care of any situation. We have armored vehicles that come to the scene, and those were crucial in the rescue of those hostages. So anytime we have a hostage situation, we're definitely going to use extreme measures to make sure that we have enough personnel on the scene.
To your knowledge, were any of the hostages executed before you went in between the time this?
Yeah, I can't speak to that right now. That'll all be part of the investigation.
Early this morning, there was thought that there may be 20 victims inside. That number has risen to 50. Is this now one of the top 5, if not the top, mass shootings in the country?
Absolutely, yes, it is. So this morning, just based on what the initial officers saw, without jeopardizing any more safety, they thought there were about at least 20, but now it's up to 50. So definitely one of the worst tragedies.
Say this is the worst shooting in American history, or in more ways?
Yes.
Any indication that the suspect had any help, outside help?
There's no indication of that right now, but that'll all be part of the investigation.
Do we know if all of the 50 who were killed were shot during the initial shooting at 2, and were there any shots fired after that initial shooting at 2:02?
There was an initial shooting at 2:02, numerous shots fired, and then there were gunshots exchanged between the SWAT team and the suspect at 0500 hours.
So of the 50 fatalities that we have, do we know if they were all killed during that initial shooting at 2:02, or were any of them killed after that?
That's unknown. That's unknown at this time.
So is this classified right now as a hate crime or as a terrorism?
At this point in time, we're just conducting a general investigation period. We'll determine officially whether it's a hate crime or a terrorism incident or even a violent crime once we have all the facts in place. We're at the very early stages, and as much as I would like to give you everything we have, we can't give you things that aren't 100% accurate, because then it's not fair to you.
It does seem like you're saying less now, and you guys came back with a bomb. And so
I'm sorry? A bomb?
A bomb.
Oh, okay.
A religious leader. What has changed in the last 3 hours? You're giving us less information, but now you're calling for calm.
Well, again, so since the subject has not been positively identified to the next of kin, there's not a whole lot more we can share with you at this time. Also, bear in mind that we do not want to jeopardize the investigation. While we feel confident right now there are no other threats to the immediate area or the United States of America, we need to be certain of that before we put any further information out.
Were any injured by officers' fire? Was anyone injured by officers' fire, and were any officers injured?
Unknown at this time. Yeah, there was one officer injured. He was hit in the Kevlar helmet with a round from the suspect. The Kevlar helmet did stop that round, but the officer does have some injuries to his face from that gunshot.
Chief, how would you characterize the shooting? With these weapons, did he come in shooting, or was he able to smuggle these weapons in and then?
Yeah, we're still early in the investigation. Unknown how he got inside the club, but it appears like he was in there, and then the shots were fired from the preliminary information.
Give some context. How bad is this compared to other shootings across the country?
it's absolutely terrible. I mean, 50 victims in one location, one shooting. It's absolutely one of the worst tragedies we've seen. One more time. Yeah, exactly. There were more victims inside than originally thought. So once it was safe for us to go in and we determined there were no devices, that's when we were able to discover how many victims were actually in there.
Can you talk about where these victims were? Can you talk about the scene that these individuals were trying to get away from the gunfire?
Yeah, that's all going to come out in the investigation. Right now we're going to focus on, obviously, the identification of all the victims and the notification of next of kin.
Did you have any advice in that time when you thought there was going to be an
at least a few hours.
Congressman Peter King just said that the shooters from Afghanistan and is trained in the use of weapons. He knows what he's doing. Can you speak to that?
No.
Are you a U.S. citizen? Here we are. The city beautiful. The city of a little worse than that in the U.S. Your thoughts?
Absolutely, it's definitely a tragedy, not only for the city but for our entire nation. You know, we believe this is a tragedy that could happen anywhere in the United States of America, and what we need to do is continue to be vigilant and call. If you see something, say something, and call anyone. Call 911, call the FBI. If you see something that's out of place or you see someone that's acting strange behavior.
What is the mood among the first responders on the scene?
No, we can't confirm that.
What is the mood among the first responders on the scene? Shock?
Absolutely. Just to look into the eyes of our officers told the whole story. Obviously, you know, some of those officers had 20 plus years on. One of the lieutenants, who was one of the first on the scene, he's a 23-year member of the police department and almost 20 years on the SWAT team. And you could tell that they were all shaken by this incident, by what they saw inside the club. They did a unbelievable job, courageous efforts in rescuing many hostages, at least 30 from inside the club. But after it was all said and done, you could tell really this kind of tragedy takes a toll on everyone, even law enforcement officers.
Can you describe what calls that you were receiving from the people that were inside?
So we're going to brief roughly every 2 hours.
We're going to do
3 hours.
Yeah.
We're going to brief in about 3 hours. We're going to give you absolutely as much information as we can disclose. There are guidelines for OPD and for the FBI and FDLE, but we're going to give you everything we can possibly give to you. Right now, we want to focus on identifying the victims and notifying their families. So I would hope you would lead with the information about how families can call in and check on their loved ones or give information about they might think that their loved one was among those who are missing. And
Can you give that hotline number again?
We got it.
407-246-4357, 407-246-4357. People can call if loved ones want to call and try and get some information or help us with information. They could also call the FBI for any tips, and that's 1-800-CALL-FBI, and they'll just hit option number 2 when prompted. 1-800-CALL-FBI, option number 2 when prompted. And one more time, our hotline for family members is 407-246-4357.
So we'll target the next media briefing at 1. We're targeting the next media briefing at 1:30 today. We do understand that Governor Scott is en route, so he may want to do something before that, and we'll keep you guys updated on that. But the next law enforcement briefing will be at 1:30.